Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Every Second Counts podcast. My name is Tom, and this is the intro episode. What my plan is on this episode is to give you a little sneak peek on what to expect on other episodes of the Every Second Counts podcast. Why the podcast? Those that know me, those that follow me on Instagram, let's say, I go on there and I just have a passion that came out of nowhere to be able to just talk on there and feel the way I feel and be able to express it, to which for 20 years in the Marine Corps, it's kind of hard to express your feelings or emotions, let's say. And it's not a knock, it's just being real. So, why? Because after you get out or you retire from the military, there's a transitioning period. And some, I believe, the transition comes from before you joined, while you're in, after you get out, and then that new experience. That whole thing to me is the transition. Um, so the podcast is going to be about motivation, it's going to be about mental health, and it's going to be about veteran suicide because I feel there's a lot of people that have eyes on it. There's a lot of people paying attention to veteran suicide now, but it's not the people that are there to make the change. The people that have the money, people that have all the buildings and the supplies and everything to treat these veterans and these civilians that deal with all these mental health issues. And I feel the more we identify it, the more trends we see, the more data we get, then it just becomes a statistic. You always hear about 22. What's the significance with 22? I mean, it goes back years now, but it was the average suicide of veterans on a daily basis. And I think the numbers misconstrued at this point, but it's more than one. And that's the only veterans. That's not even counting about civilians. So I feel going through motivation, and motivation is a deadly word, just like discipline. There are strong words that have strong 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 things that come with it, let's say. It comes when you say discipline, there's a lot of things that come with that. So I feel when we deal with mental health and we deal with veteran suicide and we talk about motivation, it's not the motivation like I'm tired, I don't want to go to the gym, or I don't want to work out. It's the motivation to do something. It's the motivation to look at yourself and look in the mirror and face the demons and allow yourself to just change and heal and get better. And that takes a lot of motivation because there's people struggling to even go outside. I mean, we talk about the past couple of years, mental health has taken a decline. So, how do we combat this? How do we get better as a society? How do we get better? Well, we turn our actions into words. We turn our actions into words is why I started Sit Rep 22. More information about SitRep 22 will be periodically coming out more and more, but it's a new technology for veterans to become more productive and be proactive in life. And it's going to be a tool that they'll be able to utilize to help them on a daily basis. Um, I don't think there's nothing out there, to be honest. And that's why I'm doing this because not only does me talking about it help bring awareness and prevention, it allows the listener, you guys, to be able to promote it and see it in your own lives because it doesn't just start with suicidal ideations. It starts with anxiety, it starts with depression, it starts with PTSD, it starts with, and it's not just in the military. And I feel there's a lot of people, let's say, a lot of people behind the curtain that make people think certain things to feel a certain way. I'm just going to keep it real. And I feel that we need to talk to people. We need to talk to the veterans. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters that served, and I want to know how they're combating mental health in the military. how they're combating their motivation, not only of dealing while active duty or retiring or getting out or being have served. What have you done to help yourself? And I feel being able to spread that word and that accountability will allow others to see different routes that they have, that not all roads are closed. Because I feel once you come to a point in life, and I've dealt with this over the past couple of years, like I said earlier about transitioning, you come to a point to where you might maybe want to chalk the tires, because how you are, you just want to keep it that way. You don't want to rock the boat too much. You just want to keep it that way. And those chalks keep you, as long as nothing changes, it keeps you comfortable. And I think once you secure that down, you have created that prison of your own self because that's what you feel you needed. That's what you feel because that's your instincts telling you. And I think, you know, I am by no means an expert in anything. I can only know what I know. And I feel that the way I feel about certain things, about mental health, veteran suicide, a lot of other people feel the same way. So it's about coming on here, talking with veterans, talking with people that work in the crisis world, talking to police, talking to firefighters, talking to people that do it every day. To where I had a saying for a long time while I was in the Marine Corps, to where no matter what, I still have to go to work tomorrow. So no matter what's going on in life right now, I'm still going to work tomorrow. And I feel when you have that kind of mindset, everything else just falls to the side. Family, emotions, your own mental health, just how you go about things, how you talk to people, how you deal with people. And I think exploring it, and each person is different. Anxiety attacks people differently. Depression, people could become depressed with their thoughts, and that could turn into mentally making your body depressed and turning you into, someone that doesn't really want to do anything because you're comfortable in your space. But I'll tell you this, that's all going to change. I hope that over time with this podcast and with Sit Rep 22 coming out, we'll be able to change the stigma. We'll be able to turn those words into action and keep it going. You can't just have pop-up celebrations, I like to call it. We'll say pop-up celebrations to where everyone's patriotic 4th of July. Everyone's happy around Christmas. Everyone's excited when the seasons change. But what about the daily? I think the daily's overlooked too much. We overlook the daily. Every second counts every day because every second of the day, your mind's making decisions that are going to impact the rest of your day, the rest of your week, your month, your year, whatever the case may be. Is those split decisions that you constantly make, or you battle with yourself, or you argue with yourself, there's an outcome to that. And when that outcome comes out, a decision has been made. And I feel when we make those decisions, they become permanent. We don't explore it. We don't want to open doors in a house that has many locked doors. And I feel being able to explore that, being able to put it out there in the public forum and share a lot of my own personal demons, my own personal problems, because we are all the same. There's a thing called social media to where I've utilized it and exploited as much as I could, but it's our new Hollywood. It's our new Hollywood. Everything's ego driven, and when your ego is driven to be acceptable to society, or if you look a certain way, act a certain way, or you deal with situations differently, you're looked down upon. You're looked down upon. Bullying becomes big, social media bullying, and I think when you slow it down, and you want to be as true to yourself as you can and be as real as you can to yourself, well, that opens up more options for you to be happier. That opens more options for yourself to become content with change, content with becoming uncomfortable, content with going through this adventure and dealing with things. Cause I think it's easy to say, no matter what, I gotta go to work tomorrow. But all those rocks that I just discard, they become a big pile. They don't even fit in the pack no more. But what happens with that mountain that you've accumulated over time? It doesn't move, it doesn't go away. It's always gonna be there. So what do we do? I feel the language of conversation and for myself own personal experience, being able to express yourself without caring what others think is that's the sword in the stone to me. When you actually just say, "This is it. This is me," that's your true power. So things like that we're going to be discussing along the way on Every Second Counts podcast. Like I said, multiple guests, but I also want to know when people see this, what was good, what was bad, topics, because like I said, every person's always going to be different. I'm always down to discuss whatever. Like I said, I'm no expert, but I'm trying to spread a word that's not popular. Mental health is becoming the new stigma as if there's something more than a common cold, you have mental health issues. You have a mental health illness. And when you say words like that, it's extremely scary. Um, when you get compounded with multiple medications, it becomes very compounded. And of course, like I said, hey, we all the same. They're the dogs. So you might hear them, you might not, but they're the dogs for now. But if you heard them barking in the background, I apologize. But we got to be able to take this community of mental health, mental illnesses, of veteran suicide, members of families, people that were in the vicinity. They're the people that suffer the most. The people that already committed suicide, let's say, or I mean, that's what it is. That's the stigma we're scared to say. People that go out and, they're no longer with us, everyone else is still around. But that person is alone still. They decide to go on a different path, take a different journey, chalk it all down and say, "This is it. I'm weak and I cannot push myself any harder." That's where we come in. That's where families, friends, acquaintances, coworkers, if you have being able to be in contact with people on a daily and being able to see changes in somebody, that's why we're here. That's the purpose. We're here to be able to communicate with others and see if someone's going through something, because just because someone isn't going through something right now doesn't mean those demons that are attacking them could be 5 years old, 10 years old, and a lot of that struggle connects from childhood trauma, connects to mid-age trauma, let's say, and it further connects and just it just creates that mountain that I talked about earlier. So, mental health, mental health, mental health is something that we need to stand up together and fight together. Veteran suicide, veteran suicide, there's not more to say about that. We need to turn words into actions and keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. And motivation. What are we gonna do with motivation? For 99% of people on social media, motivation becomes, you know, a tool that you need that bridges the gap from A to B. I need motivation to run 2 miles, 3 miles today, 5 miles. I need that motivation. So what's going to inspire me to go from here to there and back? That's that daily motivation. We get up in the morning. If you have a job, you have to get up and go. That's your motivation. You might not be excited about it, but that's your motivation. Why? Because maybe you drive a vehicle, maybe you have kids, maybe you're married, maybe you have a home, maybe you have bills. Your motivation is already there. It doesn't just go down to motivation of eating properly, working out, and following that path. It's the motivation to do things in life, and I want to exploit that and see what are the best tendencies. What are people doing to be able to get out of these holes? And I'm gonna be researching. I have a bunch of people I want to bring on and talk to, and these are real people having real conversations, doing real shit, man. So what I like to do is just thank everybody. This is the first episode, it's just the intro. Stand by for other outstanding episodes of the Every Second Counts podcast. I would like to thank everyone for joining me. Stand by. Make sure you share it. Let people know. Critique me. Let me know in the comments on YouTube, on the podcast. Let me know where you listen to it and what's going on. Sit Rep 22 stores coming out soon. Be prepared. Thank you for everyone tuning in. And remember, get busy.